The doorbell rang at 2:17 a.m. I checked the camera, but no one was there. I know, it sounds like the beginning of a bad horror movie, but this actually happened to me, and it's a story I've been hesitant to share for a long time. It's the kind of thing that makes you question your own sanity, makes you doubt the very fabric of reality. But I need to tell someone. I need to get it out. I live in a quiet little suburb in Illinois. It's the kind of place where everyone knows everyone. The streets are lined with old oak trees, and nothing much ever happens. Life is predictable, and honestly, that's how I like it. I'm not a party person. My idea of a wild night is staying up past 10 to finish a book. So when my doorbell rang in the middle of the night, it was more than just unusual. It was alarming. The first time it happened was a Tuesday. I was fast asleep, deep in some meaningless dream, when that sharp, sudden chime cut through the silence. My heart hammered against my ribs. I sat bolt upright in bed, my eyes wide in the darkness, listening. Who on earth would be at my door at this hour? My first thought was that it was some kind of emergency. I fumbled for my phone on the nightstand, my fingers shaking slightly as I pulled up the live feed from my porch camera. The screen flickered to life, showing my front porch bathed in the dim, ghostly glow of the night vision. The porch swing was still. The potted ferns were undisturbed. There was nothing, absolutely nothing, just an empty porch. I rewound the footage, watching the seconds tick by. The timestamp confirmed it, 2:17 a.m. I saw the digital button on the doorbell light up as it was pressed, but there was no hand, no finger, no person in sight. It was just pressed. I told myself it must be a glitch, a wiring issue, maybe a power surge, something logical. I tried to push the unease out of my mind, rolled over, and eventually fell back into a restless sleep. The next night, Wednesday, it happened again, the exact same time, 2:17 a.m., that single, piercing chime. My heart did that same panicked leap. I grabbed my phone, my hands slick with a nervous sweat. I didn't even need to check the timestamp this time. I knew the camera feed showed the same scene as the night before, an empty, silent porch, no one there. I replayed the event capture. The button lit up, the bell rang, but the space in front of it was completely void of any life. 2 nights in a row. This was no longer a glitch. Glitches are random. This was a pattern. This was intentional. I spent all of Thursday feeling on edge, jumping at every little sound. The house, which had always felt like my sanctuary, now felt like a cage. Every shadow seemed to stretch a little too long. Every creak of the floorboards sounded like a footstep. I thought about calling the police, but what would I say? My doorbell is being rung by a ghost. They'd think I was crazy. I decided to wait one more night. Maybe it would stop. Maybe whoever was doing this would get bored and move on. That night, Thursday night, I couldn't sleep. I just lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, my phone clutched in my hand, watching the clock. 2:15, 2:16, my breath hitched. And then, 2:17, the chime. This time, when I looked at my phone, something was different. The live feed wasn't showing my porch. It was just a screen of static, the black and white snow you see on old TVs. It lasted for maybe a second, maybe 2. And then, just as suddenly, the image cleared. The porch was back, and it was empty. But it wasn't. Not exactly. Something had changed. My welcome mat, the simple brown one that said "Home Sweet Home," was now facing the wrong way. The words were upside down, facing the door instead of the street. My blood ran cold. Someone had been there. In that split second of static, someone had been on my porch, close enough to turn my mat around, and the camera had conveniently decided to malfunction at that exact moment. That was it. I couldn't rationalize it away anymore. The next morning I called the police. 2 officers came to my house, a man and a woman who looked sympathetic but skeptical. I explained everything, the phantom rings, the precise timing, the glitched camera, the welcome mat. They listened patiently, nodding along. I showed them the footage from my phone. They watched the clips from the first 2 nights, seeing the bell ring with no one there. They saw the recording from the 3rd night, the brief flash of static, the before and after with the mat. They were professional, but I could see the doubt in their eyes. They took a copy of the camera's data. They walked the perimeter of my house, looking for footprints or signs of forced entry. They found nothing. They reviewed the footage again, this time on their own equipment, frame by frame. Their conclusion was simple and maddening. They told me that, according to the footage, no one had approached my house. The sensor would have picked up any motion, they said. There was no heat signature, no physical presence detected in the moments the bell was rung. As for the welcome mat, they suggested it could have been the wind, or that I might have moved it myself and forgotten. They were trying to be helpful, but their explanations felt hollow. They left, advising me to keep my doors locked and to call them if anything else happened. That night, Friday night, the fourth night, I knew I wouldn't sleep. I couldn't. Fear had been replaced by a grim, determined resolve. I was going to catch whoever or whatever this was. I turned off every single light in the house, plunging it into darkness. I sat on the floor in my living room, just out of sight of the front windows, with my phone in my hand. The live camera feed was my only source of light. I just sat there in the silence, watching my own empty porch on the screen, waiting. The minutes crawled by like hours. My own breathing sounded deafening in the quiet house. My eyes were glued to the phone screen, to the time stamp in the corner, to 10. My muscles were tense, coiled like a spring, to 15. My heart was a drum against my ribs, to 16. I held my breath. My entire world narrowed down to that little screen and the numbers ticking up. And then, it happened. To 17 a.m. The doorbell rang, but this time, the camera feed wasn't empty. This time, there was someone there. The image was crystal clear. It was a face, filling the entire frame, pressed so close to the camera lens that its features were distorted, wide and warped. It was a person, standing just inches from my front door. It was me. I was staring straight into the camera. My eyes were wide, unnaturally wide, and my mouth was stretched into a grotesque, impossibly broad smile. It wasn't my smile. It was a caricature of a smile, something hollow and terrifying. And as I sat there on my living room floor, paralyzed in the darkness, watching this impossible image of myself on my phone, the me on the screen slowly, deliberately, raised a hand and waved. I don't remember screaming. I don't remember dropping the phone. The next thing I knew, the sun was coming up, and I was huddled in the corner of my living room, shaking. I haven't slept in my own bed since I stay with my sister now. We had a priest bless the house. We had the locks changed. We installed a whole new security system, but sometimes, when I close my eyes, I can still see it. That face on the screen, my face, smiling, and I wonder, on the fourth night, when I was sitting in the dark watching the camera, who was it that rang the doorbell? Thanks for listening to my story. If you have any experiences you can't explain, I'd love to hear about them in the comments. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more strange tales. Stay safe out there.